So today I'm going to show you how to install the Portainer Docker Container Management System on a Linux Ubuntu cloud hosted server. So for this demonstration, I will actually use a Linux Ubuntu 20.04 instance hosted on the Lightsail VPS hosting service on the Amazon cloud platform. So Portainer allows you to deploy, configure, troubleshoot, and secure containers in minutes on Kubernetes, Docker, Swarm, and Nomad in any cloud data center or device. So basically, Portainer is a great tool that can be used to manage Docker containers, Swarm services, and other resources from a simple and intuitive web user interface. Portainer actually provides several free features as well as paid plugins that can enhance the user experience for managing Docker containers. So the first thing that we're actually going to do is we're going to sign into the Amazon Lightsail service, and then when you get to the service, you just need to click on the Create Instance button. On the instance location section, I'm just going to choose Sydney, and on the selected platform, just choose Linux, click on OS only, and then choose the Ubuntu 20.04 blueprint. And then on the Choose Your Instance Plan section, select the $10 plan, and then you need to give the instance a name. So in this case, I'm just going to call it a Portainer instance. So once you've made your selections, just click on the Create Instance button to complete the instance creation process. So copy the public IP address for the instance and then open up the Amazon Route 53 service. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to create an A record that maps to the instance that we've actually just created. Click on Hosted Zones and then click on any one hosted zone for your registered domain names. Click on Create Record, and then on the record name, we're going to set it to Portainer instance, and then on the value field, paste in the public IP address for the instance, and then click on the Create Records button. So go back to Amazon Lightsail, and then click on the instance name. Click on the Download Default Key button to actually download a key pair file that will allow us to connect to the instance via SSH. So you need to rename the key pair file, so I'm just going to rename it to portainerkey.pem. Then open up your terminal application, and you actually need to change your working directory to the downloads directory. So just run the command cd downloads, and then run the command chmod 400, and then type in the file name for the key pair file. Press enter, and then to connect to the instance via SSH, run the command sshi, append the file name for the key pair file, and then type in the username. In my case, it's Ubuntu, and then add the public IP address for the instance, then press enter. On the verification prompt, just type in yes and press enter, and you should be now connected to the instance via SSH. So the first thing that we're actually going to do is I'm going to run the command sudo su to then change to the root user account, and then just run the command apt update to install some essential system updates. So I'm going to set a custom host name, so just run the command hostname ctl set hostname and then type in Portainer instance. And then finally, you need to edit the host configuration file. You also need to then append your custom hostname, press Ctrl O, press enter, and then press Ctrl X to exit out of the file. And then finally, just reboot the instance for all of the changes to take effect. So next, we're actually going to install Docker IO and also the Portainer Docker image. So reconnect to the instance. Actually, before we reconnect, I'm actually just going to open up the documentation for the Portainer installation guide actually. So we're just actually going to be following this guide to complete this setup. So the first thing you need to do is you need to create sort of like a virtual volume that Portainer will actually use to save its data. So I'm actually reconnecting to the instance now, and I'm just going to copy the command that's on the documentation. So but before that, I just need to install Docker. So just run the command apt install docker.io, type in y and press enter. So that's the very first thing that you actually need to do, which is to actually install Docker. And then once you've actually installed Docker, the next thing that you then have to do is you then have to then execute that command that's been listed out in the documentation for creating the volume. So I'm just going to copy that command through from the documentation, and then I'm just going to paste that into my terminal window. So that'll create a volume named Portainer_data. And then on the download section, just click on the community edition and then copy that command through to your terminal window. Just press enter and we should now be actually pulling the Portainer Community Edition. There's an alternative option for the enterprise paid version of Portainer, so if you want that, you can actually choose to go through with that route, but in this case I'm just going to choose the Community Edition. So let me just check if the container is running. So let me just run command docker ps, and there you have it. So you can see we've got that Portainer Docker image installed and provisioned. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go into the networking section for the Portainer instance, and I'm going to add a rule to actually open up HTTPS port 443. So just select HTTPS on the IPv4 file or rules, and then click on save. And then I'm also going to open up a custom port which is actually port 9443. So that's the default administration port for Portainer. So next I'm then going to then open up the Portainer dashboard, but I think I need to go through using HTTPS. So if you get a connection is not private, just click on advanced and then click on proceed. So you now need to configure your username actually. So type in your username, type in a password for your default administration account. You need to make sure you actually type in a secure password here. So once you've made those changes, just click on the create user to then proceed to the dashboard. So here you just need to click on get started. So I'm just actually going to just click on the get started option, and then you can then click on the local instance that Portainer has actually automatically detected. So just click on the local instance again, and you should now see a whole bunch of options that can actually allow you to create and provision containers, app templates, images, and a whole lot of other options that you can actually do within Portainer. So that's been it, guys. That's a basic look at how you can actually install Portainer on a cloud-hosted Linux Ubuntu instance. I hope this tutorial has been informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.